Hello, my name is Hardin Coleman. I'm Dean of the School of Education at Boston University, and I want to share some ideas about the recent reports from the National Research Council concerning emerging standard for science education. And I'll go from there and end up with a conversation about portfolios, so please bear with me as I address these issues. The National Research Council has decided that they want to revamp science education, and they're really thinking that it's very important to move away from a focus on facts, what a kid knows, to a love of science, a love of learning, to introduce them to methods and the skills of science, and feel that that may be the more important outcome of science education. And in that way, they're engaged in this age-old debate, whether it's more important to have facts, knowledge, or skills. And really, anyone who's familiar with Afrocentric thinking understands that it's really both and. That and really the goal of education is to both allow someone to acquire facts, to learn, to be engaged in the materials, but also learn the skills of doing something with it. But more important, I think this is an emerging focus for education, is people need to have the skills to be able to write well, to learn facts, to memorize facts, know what they mean, and the skills of putting them to work. In other words, how do I apply them in situations? What are the methods of science? What's the methods of writing an essay? These are all very important combinations that they need to know. And one of the examples is Tony Wagner, who is the author of the Global Achievement Gap, is doing a study on innovators. And it's very interesting. He found out that young innovators, so people in their 20s and early 20s who've actually accomplished a great deal in terms of innovation, will talk about the faculty, and these are people who go to Stanford, Harvard, BU, that the faculty that meant the most to them were not the tenure-track faculty. They weren't the tenure-track faculty who were focused on knowledge. They were the ones who were coming out of practice. They were non-tenure-track. They were teaching these innovators how to do things. And Tony really raises the question, what's the role of knowledge production when the innovators are much focused on skills? But on the other hand, I just had a recent conversation with Cito Narcisse, who's the headmaster of English High School, which is a turnaround school in Boston, where he was talking about his need for math teachers, or not necessarily math teachers who have methods already, but really know their math facts, who know math, who are deeply enmeshed in the content, feeling that it's easier to get someone, to teach someone the methods when they're in practice than to actually retrain them in the content. So you had this tension right there where Tony's suggesting that it's the skills that are more important, than learning how to apply the skills. And then Cito Narcisse saying to make real changes in performance among his students, he needs people who really know math. So once again, it's this either-or contradiction, which I think is unnecessary. So as you focus on the both and in education, we need to think about what are the things that people need to know, and what are the skills they need to do to put that to work? And how do we give them the opportunity to put that in practice? So I'm going to argue that the biggest thing that we need to do in education is finding opportunities for kids to put what they know to work. It's more than just knowing the knowledge, knowing the skills, but give them opportunities to really practice it and get feedback on the practice and get better at the practice. And that's where we get to portfolios. This whole movement towards ways to assess kids' learning and the use of a portfolio to make that learning visible, as Evangeline Stephanakis will tell you, is a very powerful experience in and of itself. But then the ability for them to show what they know, that they can show employers, they can show college admissions officers, to really focus not on how much math I know, or how well I do in science methods, but how do I put that together in practice? What creative, useful, innovative things can I do with what I know and know how to do?